Good morning. It's September 12th, 2021. I'm Vincent Walker, Superintendent of Emanuel AME Sunday School, Mobile, Alabama, where Reverend John L. Deese Jr. is our pastor. Today I'm going to be doing part two of the special series of Faith Over Understanding. Last week we were in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, the very familiar verses of trusting the Lord with all their heart and lean not on your own understanding. And so forth. So today we're going to go on to part two of faith over understanding. Last week I talked about, just trusting in the Lord and being prepared and work and going through things that you go through. And even though when things don't look the way they should, just trusting God and have faith in Him. So this week in faith over understanding, we're going to be earlier in the Old Testament, Numbers chapter 13 and chapter 14, the entirety. Numbers chapter 13 and chapter 14. Faith over understanding. The timing of Numbers chapter 13 and 14 is the time when the Israelites were in the wilderness. Moses was in charge, and God had brought them out of the land of Egypt, had performed wonderful miracles. He parted the Red Sea, had provided for them, and God promised them a land that was flowing with milk and honey. So now it was time for them to get this land. It was time for them to get it. So God told Moses to send out the spies to look over the land that I have promised to you. Go check it out. Moses he was directed to send out 12 spies. The spies went out and they gathered information on the food, the fruits, the people, the lay of the land. Faith over understanding. When the spies returned, 10 of them said that truly it's flowing with milk and honey. But those 10 also said, we can't take them. Those people are too strong. They're too big. It's too much there. It's no way that we can take them. Faith over understanding. Their understanding, they tried to understand what God already had taken care of. See, they couldn't see that God was with them. They didn't comprehend that God was with them. He told them, just go check it out, and I've got you. I have a land for you. Those 10 men, they also convinced the rest of the people that they could not win. Only 2 of them, Caleb and Joshua, believed and trusted and had faith in God, that if God said it's ours, God is with us, we can have this. This is ours. If God said it, it's ours. But 2 out of 12 is not a good number. 2 out of 12 mathematically does not make sense. But 2 out of 12 in God's eyes makes perfect sense. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, there I shall be in your midst. It only takes a couple. It only takes a small amount. It only takes a remnant. But their understanding of it, when 10 of them said we couldn't do it, no, they weren't having it. They did not put their faith over the understanding. They did not have faith in the God that had delivered them. It was so, it was so bad that the people even said, let's just go back to Egypt. They would rather be comfortable slaves than uncomfortably free. They would have rather been comfortable slaves than uncomfortably free. Because in order for them to get the land that was flowing with milk and honey, they had to go in and take on some foes that they thought that they could not take out. But God was on their side, but they could not see that. They could not see that God was on their side and he had them. Now, for this, last week when we talked about faith over understanding, I said trust. I talked about trusting in God, and He'll direct you, and He won't lead you in the wrong direction. Now, faith over understanding, when God has something for you, and God has told you to do something, and God has a situation in front of you that may seem like it's impossible. Now, understand this: don't end up like the Israelites. Now, because of this transgression and because of them not trusting in God, because of those 10 that said we can't do it, there was a penalty for that. Because of that, and because they persuaded the people to reject going in and taking on the people, the Amorites, the Canaanites, it was plenty of foes in there. Since they didn't go in and take on them, God said, everybody 20 and older, you'll never see this land. You will never see this land. Your children that you thought would die because I was going to take you into this battle, they will see it. 40 years it took to get to the promised land. He said it will take 40 years, and your carcasses will be lined and laid out throughout the desert because of your transgression, because you did not have faith, because you did not trust in what I had told you, the wonders that I had performed for you, brought you out of slavery, parted the Red Sea, provided food, provided shade in the desert. Now, if you've never been to the desert, honestly, I'm in the South. I stay in the South of the United States. It gets hot down here. But every once in a while, we can go and get under a tree and shield us just a little bit. But in the desert, in the daytime, there are no trees. But God provided a cloud. He provided a cloud for shade in the daytime and a pillar. Because understand this too. Here in the deep South, when it's hot in the summertime, it's still warm at night because trees, buildings, they radiate that heat that they've been drawing in all day long. They radiate that in the nighttime to keep you warm. But in the desert, there are no trees. So in the nighttime, it gets cold in the desert. But God provided a pillar of fire, not only for sight, but for warmth for them. He had done all of that. And they still didn't believe that he could do what he said he was going to do. They didn't want to trust. They didn't want to have faith. Why? Because they couldn't understand it. They couldn't put their faith over the understanding that was in front of them. No, look, 10 out of 12 said that we can't do it. 10 out of 12 said we cannot do this. It's just two of them. It's Joshua and Caleb. It's just two of them. We can't do this. God, why are you going to send us in here to get killed? God said he has you. No matter what situation you're going through in life, no matter what's going on, no matter how big the foe seems, no matter how impossible it seems. It sounds like we're beating a dead horse here. We say it all the time. No matter what, if God said it, God can do it. God is not going to bring you anywhere that his hand is not going to protect you. If God brings you there, he'll protect you. Well, see, now understand this too. When Moses told them this report that God had given to them, they got some act right in their system then. They said, okay, let's scrap up. Let's get the sword. Let's go take on them. We can do it now. We know God, don't kill us all. We'll do it now. He said, it's too late. It's too late. If you go in now, you're going to die. I don't have my hand. It's no protection of me. I am not there with you now. Have faith over understanding. See, Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things I cannot see. Stop trying to see faith in your life. I've said it before. Stop trying to see faith in your life. Trust and faith in God is going places you don't want to go. It's doing things that are uncomfortable. It's battling through situations that just don't seem right. I'm not sorry to say this, but listen, if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, if you trust in God, you're going to go through things. Your faith is going to be tested. Your faith is going to be tested by the enemy, and it's going to be tested by God. I'm just here to tell you, you're going to go through, I go through things. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. You're going to go through things. The more you get involved with God, the more you do, the harder the enemy is going to fight you. That's why it's important to stay on track with God and progress the way you're supposed to be progressing. Because the enemy he's taking a peek into your future. And the enemy knows what you can become. And he's going to put up the biggest obstacles he can find, the biggest obstacles he can create to try to get you to say, God, why I can't do this? God, why you even put this in my face? Why you even put this in my path, God? That's what the enemy wants. That's what the enemy wants. But I'm here to tell you, my brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you, the same God that parted the Red Sea, the same God that gave David the strength to slay Goliath, the same God that gave Jesus the power to raise Lazarus from the dead, the same God that knocked Paul off of his donkey and blinded him and changed a murderous killer of Christians into the author of the majority of the New Testament, the same God that gave John the revelation on the Isles of Patmos, that same God is your God. He's my God. And he is just as concerned about you as he was all of those situations that I just named. He is just as concerned about you and wants you to succeed as he was with them. Have faith over understanding, my brothers and sisters. God bless you and God keep you is my prayer. Have a blessed day. Amen.